G'day Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. It's the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs Elite Pathways weekly wrap, coming to you from my car again, as I usually am. A really good game by our New South Wales Cup and our Jersey Flegg sides in Pathways. Eddo's back to talk about that. We'll also look at the NRL a little bit. Enough's been said about that already, but I'll just have a quick little chat about that. And the big news is the loss of one of our Pathways juniors, our youngsters, in young Jake Averillo, who unfortunately has gone to another club in the Dolphins, which makes me sad. I think it's really good for Jake himself. I really believe that he's picked the right club and he's got himself the right type of deal that he would need. And I think it's very, very good for Jake, but not so good for Canterbury. I think it's a mistake, and I'll tell you why. Jake Averillo, as you know, is a bit of a fan favourite. Even some that do doubt him a little bit probably could see just how well he went this year in centre when he wasn't expected to do so. Expected to continue in that fullback role. Was thinking he would get the pre-season, didn't get it. Cameron Serrato come out and said exactly what many sort of fans with a bit of knowledge of Jake have said, that he's rarely had an opportunity to sort of assert himself because he's always had player movements around him, which makes it hard in your defence. He was a focal point of attack as a kid in a team that was going nowhere, and for people to come out and say, oh, he was no good as a half, or he's no good as a 6 or a 4, I think that they're a little bit rash in some of the statements that they made, because he's every bit of that, and in the right system and in the right team, I think he would have been probably earning more money right now than he's currently even getting at 400 grand. But he's still young and a big opportunity to get some good dollars. Now, in the situation the club's in, I do understand it, and I will back the club in its ideology not to keep Jake, even though I think it's a mistake personally. I was still going to back the club. No two ways about it. If hopefully they invest that money that they save there in the right areas and get the right people that we need, which is middles. Hopefully that what they're banking on with the likes of, they're obviously going to have to pay more money to the likes of Jacob Carraz, probably Bronson Cherry if that plan goes to order. Jarrell Skelton if he lives up to the hype that he's showing in New South Wales Cup, and other players like Jordan Samrani, who look very much likely to become really good players in the future, but they're still an unknown. They're still a risk. So look, let's hope the club gets this one right and it works out for all parties involved. We really hope that, but I believe it was a mistake. The variation he offers and variety he offers as a player is hard to match. I don't think we get the same sort of variety out of the likes of a Hayes Perham. I saw Hayes as a fair replacement for Corey Allen, but not for Jake Averillo, in my opinion. I think Jake's just more advanced in his career at this point, and he's showing it this year in the way he's playing in the centre position. With the NRL, men versus boys, it turned out that way. It really showed. A couple of players, their minds weren't there. Was that because they were given permission to fail by the club? Not directly. Like, the club is probably speaking to fans that are a bit frustrated and getting impatient, trying to retemper expectations after the hype earlier on in the year. But in saying that, if the players listened to all that rhetoric that was coming out, it may have had something to do with the fact that you got some people who didn't really show up in the middle on the weekend. I felt that it was glaringly obvious that the heads went down, not having Burton there to kick us out of trouble and to turn some really bad sets into good ones, which is another thing that happens as well, and hides probably some of our glaring deficiencies, which that experienced Cronulla side exploited. So that's it on the NRL. That's it on Jake Averillo. Not good at all. Hopefully we see some more experience coming to the NRL team. I talked a lot about that in in the podcast. But anyway, that's my thoughts. We'll hand over to Eddo, and he'll take us through the great stuff that happened in New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flegg and all the other pathways, results and highlights. Take it away, Eddo.
Hey mate, hope you're well. Thanks for that. And hope everyone's going well. It's bloody cold in Sydney at the moment. And stay warm, and hope no one's getting sick as we battle through the coldest part of the year. So mate, yeah, I watched your episode 3 podcast, and yeah, I agree with a lot of it actually. And your player ratings and assessment of the Sharks game. I think with most people, I tend to want, just don't quite understand. There's 2 things that I think we're really lacking in the NRL side, and it's experience and size. They opted to go with a very young side, as Gus pointed out on game day, which I thought was a bit strange. When there's more experience there in Cup the day before they played, and we didn't use it. Sutton and Brown are 2 that come to mind. Not sure why. I'm sure the coaching staff have their reasons, but throwing a young team like that against almost a full-strength Sharks side at Shark Park, I just thought was crazy. Especially when you're losing your main playmaker who gets you out of trouble so much with his kicking game, and your star winger who, well, even though he's a winger, he does lift the side and provide experience to the rest of them as a guidance. I just thought it was a bit crazy. And the use of the size as well. There were times during the game where Pele didn't come on until well into the second half. And him and Pangai were on the bench at the same time. We're not going to dominate. We're not going to dominate tackles in the ruck if we're continually going to be picking a small team. And yeah, I've seen Gus this week talk about on Twitter how, our recruitment is going to be geared towards more size, more creativity, and hard work ethic players. And yeah, I totally agree with that. But while we've got it, shouldn't we be using it? It doesn't help the inexperienced players that we've got coming through. It's kind of like this year's been one long trial for next year. But what's going to help them progress if they're just going to get smashed? I don't quite understand that. So anyway, my team going forward for the Newcastle game, I'll just quickly go through it because I don't want to take up too much time with the pathways as well coming up. I would put Wilson to fullback. I would have put Averillo, but now that he's confirmed to be going to the Dolphins, which, is quite sad to see. I would have liked him to have stayed because he provides so much utility value in the back line. And now that he's reached 30, 40 games, it would have been nice to keep him, but we've decided to go in a different direction. It looks like we want to put less money into those positions and more money into more priority positions like halfback and prop. I just hope that we nail those targets, otherwise it's a big waste of time. So the pressure's on. But yeah, in saying that, with Averillo, I'd leave him there in the centres, and I'd try Wilson at fullback now. Hopefully he plays well this week in Cup at Lidcombe, and he's ready to go against the Knights, which is a home game, which will help. I'd leave Carraz and Fox on the wings, obviously, and I'd leave Averillo and Alamotti in the centres. In the halves, I would put Rajab with Burton. I think Carl needs a break. I don't think it's going to hurt him either. And I would start Pele and Pangai Jr. up front. We need to get off to a better start. We need to get in the game and dominate early. And then, they can both sort of come on at different times later in the game, but I would definitely start both. Reid Marnie would be the 9. On the edges, I would put Preston and I'd go a little bit left field here and put Patolo on the edge. I think we need him this is where he used to play when he was coming through the juniors, and I really liked him and rated him there. It's not saying that he's going to play edge the whole game. He could float in between the middle and the edge, but I see him as a better option with his defence over Ockenbaugh. And I'd put New Brown at lock. So you've got a bit more size in the pack to go with a more playmaking type lock. I think that might help us. And I would have Flanagan, Moran and King on the bench. And if RFM is fit, I'd have him on the bench, and he can be that other player who can sort of float between the middle and the edge. So I would drop Perham, Burns, Ockenbaugh and Waddell. And you also have guys like Hughes, Sutton there in case RFM is not quite right. And Burns is sort of a backup for the backs. So that's what I would do. In terms of players who might debut for the rest of the year, I think Gerald Skelton is a possibility. Kitiana Katunga might get a bench spot later in the year, offers good size. And out of the left field, Ryan Gray, I think he plays Cup at a higher level than most Cup players, and I think that he could handle NRL. Be nice to see him get a run and a taste in NRL, being a junior. So anyway, on to the Pathways results. So in Sydney Shield, the Moorebank Rams, they've come back after 2 weeks off, and they'll play this weekend at Hammondville at home at 1 p.m. against the Hills Bulls. I think they're going pretty good. And in Ron Massey Cup, the Bulldogs side will also play the Hills Bulls as part of a doubleheader. And that game is at 3 p.m. after the Shield at Hammondville. So, yeah, both teams desperate for better performances, and hopefully they can jump up the ladder a little bit between now and the end of the season. Be nice to see. In Hastings Deering Cup, the Colts Clydesdales, they had a nail-biting loss to the Wynnum Manly side, 35-34. A field goal in the last couple of minutes put the nail in the coffin. And this week they'll play the Sunshine Coast Falcons at Sunshine Coast Stadium on Sunday at 12:30 p.m. So good luck to the young Clydesdales. And in Host Plus Cup, the Clydesdales on the weekend lost in a cricket score 42-32 to Wynnum Manly. That's a really good effort against a very good side. They're actually the Broncos feeder side, or one of them. There's a couple of Broncos in that team, including Dane Mariner. Cooper Howlett made his debut for the Clydesdales team, and they have the bye this week. So, on to New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flegg. I was lucky enough to go out to Belmore and watch both games play, and they both played very well. It was a doubleheader against Penrith, and yeah, I sat in the stands near the NRL side. A lot of the NRL boys were there watching and supporting, which was great to see. So in Cup, it was a 30-16 win over Penrith, and they remain on top of the ladder. Tries were scored by Jordan Samrani, Eli Clark, Declan Casey, Joey O'Neill and Bailey Hayward, and Hayward kicked 3 goals. So this was the continued development of Blake Wilson playing fullback for his second week in a row, and it was against better opposition, which is really good for him. And he did play very well, I thought. And it was also the continued progression of Joey O'Neill playing his 3rd game, I think now, at 5'8". And yeah, he also played well and had a try assist and a line break assist and was involved in some of the scoring. So that's really good for Joey. So look at some of the stats. I like to look at the stats in Cup, just sees where they're sort of tracking, and if they're going to be knocking on the door for NRL, then they need to be getting good numbers. So in run meters, Blake Wilson 151, with 60 kick return metres. Pretty good numbers. Declan Casey, 129 metres. That did include a long line break for a try, and he come off injured later in the game. It forced a move for Ryan Hoffman to go to centre and Samrani to the wing. Kai Ward, 173 metres and 70 post-contact. That was our highest. And, yeah, he played very well. He likes to, step and run and jink his way to the, at the line, looking for a gap, and he's quite big and strong. He's hard to tackle. Kind of like a skeleton, really. That's the type of prototype we're looking for, I think, in the backs. Big, strong, fast. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he goes coming in the next few weeks. Watching him progress. Eli Clark, 104 metres. Ryan Sutton and Hughes, both over 100 metres, 118 and 132 respectively, were very good in the middle. And Kidiani Katanga, 111 metres coming off the bench, and he certainly made an impact again. Tackles, the highest was Jackson Tapine with 37 and only 2 missed. Really good numbers. Played 80 minutes. And Ryan Sutton, 32 tackles. Good numbers from him all round. Tackle breaks, Eli Clark, a massive 9. He has definitely worked on his strength, upper and lower body. Really good to see. I'm really happy for him. He's one of the North Coast product, and he's come down here and been very successful on his journey. New Brown, 5 tackle breaks, and Sam Hughes, 6 tackle breaks. And incidentally, Sam Hughes topped the hit-ups with 13. And as a side note, dummy half run metres, Ryan Gray made 71, which is really good. And he also had the quickest play of the ball at just over 2 seconds, which is good because it kind of shows that, in NRL, you're going to have a quicker play of the ball because the speed of the game is just so much faster. So if you're having a quick play of the ball average in Cup, then it bodes well for NRL, I should say. My man of the match, though, I give it to New Brown. Not so much for his stats, just the way he played. He was heavily involved. He received the ball more than anyone. He passed the ball more than anyone. He creates a lot for the team. Not saying that the halves don't, but I just think that experience there. He's willing to take the tackle as well, and he made 5 tackle breaks, and played 61 minutes. And he was really good. I give it to him. I give it to New, and I think he should be in the NRL side. In fact, I thought he was a bit unlucky not to play against the Sharks. Considering we were lacking that experience, I think he should have played, and I think he should definitely play against the Knights. So congratulations to New. They play the West Magpies at Lidcombe this Saturday at 2 p.m. after Jersey Flegg play. It's a doubleheader. So with no NRL Bulldogs this week, see if we can get some numbers out there at Lidcombe. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there yet, but I'm going to try to. So on to Jersey Flegg. It was an emphatic 26-0 win over the Panthers. And the Panthers, they are no slouch in this competition. They're a good team. And look, it was a pretty even possession game in this. It was like 51%, 49%. And they had their chances to score. But we defended well. We defended in numbers. Defended well on our line. And last-ditch tackles were there. And, it was very encouraging to see. They now jumped to second on the ladder, and they're just behind the Roosters. And so our tries were scored by Siani Mawala. Jonathan Suwa got 2. Vito and Gabriel got 1 each as well. And Suwa kicked 3 goals. Going on some of the performances, there was a lot of good performances, obviously, winning 26-0, a good team effort. I thought Joash Papali'i, again playing at fullback in Flegg, was very strong. The centres, Gabriel and Hayes. The halves, Moala and Glover. Glover's getting more games under his belt now. His kicking game is getting better and better. Our kick meters were way better than theirs. In the forwards, I really liked Damon Marshall and Ruben Boyle at hooker. He's moved from centre to hooker, I think, is proving a good move. A bit like Flanagan going from halfback to hooker as well. We're unearthing a couple of hookers that we didn't know we had before. And yeah, the back row were very good as well. Vale, Vito, Smith. I really liked Zach Montgomery off the bench. Very in-your-face type player. I've seen him play a few times in Cup now, but I thought this was probably the best game I've seen him play for the Dogs. Ran hard, tackled hard, and he's that type of player that just sort of lifts your team. He's not scared or intimidated. You need tough players like that in your pack, and yeah, it was really good to see Zach play that well, and hopefully he continues in that fashion. Jack Underhill also looked good off the bench, and he's one of the product from SG Ball this season coming up. So well done to the team, and hopefully they continue that against the West Tigers this week at Lidcombe in that doubleheader. They'll play at midday.
Go up. That's fine. Try. I'm happy defensive decision on the end. Hold. Go, three. Good. Thanks, good. Clean, safe. Grounding. Onside. Yes. Right. Go, two. Keep going. Play on 6 again. I've got no touch Penrith. Okay. Oh, go, three. Outside. Play up. Yeah. Oh, go last. Okay, left are good. In the middle. 10. 8. 17. Yeah, aggressive are good. Yep, those guys are good. They're outside. The offside guys are outside 10, so it's a try. 2, play on. Come to the goal line, work. 2 metres here. 2, Mike! And it's all try. Oh, go 2. Contact to the line. Yep. He's up at the back, isn't he? Yep, yes. Yeah, he's up. Wait! Oh! Break! Good. Coming around. Good. He's through the line. Good. Grounded. Try. Bring the ball! Go 3! 11, not bad. Involved. Try anyway. Okay. We've got the ball down. 30 down, Jackson. Yeah. Go 2. Don't look him in, Jackson. One's okay. 2. Outside, he's through the line. Play on. 2. Try, mate. Bring it up! Go 4. Go 3. Yeah. Go on, Joseph! Wait. Go for it. Nice, got a hold. Good now. Behind it. Good pass. Yeah, that's okay. Down. Contact okay as well. Yeah. Oh, go one. 1 for 1. Outside. Rounded. Fine, mate.